After the first time I heard the song, I didn't like it. I thought it sounded like it was something you would hear in some type of boy band. I thought I was listening to that. I thought it was the worst song on the album. It just seems out of place. Even after the second time listening to it, I thought it was out of place. Talking about the 11th studio album by Architects called The Sky, the Earth, and All Between. This was released on February 20th, 2025. If you don't know, they are a British metalcore band that formed in 2004. I'll be honest with you, I missed the entire 2000s metalcore scene. I've said this in other videos. I discovered metalcore many years later, but I know this one has a pretty big fan base. Their early albums were influenced by bands like the Dillinger Escape Plan, so their early sound was more technical and closer to mathcore, but then they started to get more melodic with their 2011 album, The Here and Now, and I know this because I covered this on an episode of Is It That Bad? I thought it was a pretty good album. It was more of a post-hardcore type of sound. So they continued to release albums. I think the first album I listened to was the 2021 album, For Those That Wish to Exist. And I remember I didn't like that one that much. And I didn't review it on my channel, as my channel was fairly new. But then a year later, they released Classic Symptoms of a Broken Spirit. And I reviewed that album. I remember I gave it a fairly positive review. But then again, I haven't really gone back to this band because I've never really been a big fan. So that's what I want to see, if this new album, The Sky, the Earth, and All Between, can really make me a fan. So let's start with my first impressions. So first of all, the album title, there's something about it I don't like. It sounds like a Coldplay album for some reason. As for the music, I feel there were moments when I liked the music. I thought it was heavy, I was banging my head. Then there are other moments when I was wondering, like, what are they doing? Sound like some type of modern pop album. So I have mixed feelings about this, but I'll talk about this in the review. The album has 12 songs. It's 41 minutes long. It's a good length for this type of album. It's pretty straight to the point. I can compare it to the recent Killswitch Engage album that was almost the same length, a little shorter, but they have those songs that are like in the 3 to 4 minute range, so it's very straight and to the point, and I think that really works for this type of music. The opening track is called Elegy, and when I first heard the first few seconds of the song, I started to get worried because it sounded very commercial sounding, very pop sounding, but as I listened to the vocals, you could hear a little bit more of this grit, this aggression coming into the vocal style, and then after the first minute, the song just takes off, lots of speed and aggression, and I was really enjoying the song at that point. I think it's a really great opening track. It has a little bit of everything. You have the softer parts, the heavier parts, the melodic chorus. It's really a perfectly crafted song. So to be honest with you, I think as an opening track, it's a really strong start. The next track is called Whiplash, and you're going to get whiplash by banging your head to this because it's a really awesome song. I like this one a lot. It's very heavy. It also has melodic moments. I like the vocals. There are different styles and variations in the vocals, and a pretty cool breakdown towards the end. So far, everything on this album sounds really good, so they got off to a really good start. After this is Black Hole, and this is a really good one. After the first few seconds, I thought they were going to get a little soft, but then it went pretty hard. I enjoyed everything, and I especially like those deep, almost death metal style vocals they used towards the end of the song. So that was another thing that I liked. It's a really good song, and so far this album is really good. The first 3 songs are killer and a great start to the album. Next song is called Everything Ends, and it's an appropriate title because it's kind of how I felt as they took a commercial direction on this one. I thought after the first 3 songs everything was going to be very heavy, but then they hit you with this song, which is not that bad. It's catchy, it's radio friendly, but I think it sounded something like you would hear on pop radio. Not to say I hated it. The vocals kind of reminded me of Michael Jackson, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying track number 4, and they go a little more radio friendly on this one. After this is Brain Dead, and it features a band called House of Protection, which I'm not very familiar with. They go really heavy on this one again. After the first 3 tracks, which were very heavy, then the 4th track was more commercial sounding, then they go really hard on this one. So I thought it was really good. Even if it has a pretty good song structure, has a catchy chorus, I still like it. So far, I'm about halfway through the album, and so far, the good outweigh the bad. After this is a track called Evil Eyes. I have mixed feelings about this one because there are moments of the song I liked, but other parts where I felt it was a little more of a modern pop type of song. I like the song, but I would say one of the weaker ones. I guess I could say the same thing about the next song, Landmines. There were parts I liked, as it was more of a radio-friendly song. It was memorable. But I feel this album seems to be a little inconsistent, as it has a few songs that are very old-school metalcore and very heavy, and others that are more radio-friendly. Next is Judgment Day. This features some female vocals, a singer named Amira Elfeski. I'm not really familiar who that is. It's not too bad. Sounded very different from many of the other songs in the album. Sounded like one of those female-fronted modern metal bands that are popular these days. But on a positive note, the breakdown at the end of the song is very good. I felt the song was different and actually liked it a lot. After this is a song called Broken Mirror, so it's time for me to use my broken glass effect. So this one sounded very much like a modern pop song. I could hear distorted guitars in the background. It sounds like something you would hear from one of those modern rock bands like Daughtry or something like that. I also thought it was very radio friendly. But on a positive note, there was a pretty heavy breakdown, and that was only a few seconds long. I thought the song was crafted as a pop song, but they tried to add in some heavier moments, so it doesn't sound like something you would hear on a typical pop album. But then they get heavy again on the next song called Curse. This was a good one. It has some really good drumming. Song also has a few moments where everything sounds pretty soft, but there are moments when they sound like their old school sound. So I felt like it was a good song. It was very balanced. It wasn't too pop. It wasn't in your face, heavy for the sake of being heavy. I would say just one of the better songs. There are two more songs in the album. This one is called Seeing Red. And I like this one. It has a lot of energy and lots of great vocals. It has this children's choir or something like that. It's a nice mix of hardcore, metalcore, and some moments of modern metal. I thought the vocals were very good, a lot of variation, everything from pop vocals to metalcore screams to death growls. I thought it was another good one, possibly one of the best songs on the album, and also has an awesome breakdown. Last song was called Chandelier. After the first time I heard the song, I didn't like it. I thought it sounded like it was something you would hear in some type of boy band. I thought I was listening to that. I thought it was the worst song on the album. It just seemed out of place. Even after the second time listening to it, I thought it was out of place. I thought they could have ended the album with the previous song, Seeing Red. It was a filler track. I guess they wanted a sound that was more radio friendly. Even the breakdown at the end didn't save it. And I think they should have just left it. In conclusion, I have mixed feelings about this because when it's good, it's really good. But there are other songs I felt were just too radio friendly and went too much in a commercial direction. And that took away from the entire album listening experience. But with that being said, there's enough here for me to like, and I think it has potential to grow on me. Now keep in mind, I've only listened to it a few times. It's still early. I can change my opinion. So for example, when I reviewed the last Killswitch Engage album, I had mixed feelings about it. But now that I'm recording this, that particular Killswitch Engage album is probably going to be one of my top albums of the month. So things can change. For now, I'm going to say 8 out of 10. I think that's a fair score because most of it is good. So if you want to hear what I said about that 2022 album, check it out right there. Please give this video a like. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you have not already. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.